It's the 10 to 1 podcast with your host, Brad Ullman, featuring Ben Conowitz and Nate Laux. And here's the podcast.
Hello, friends. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We did it. We had another episode of Saturday Night Live.
Episode 2 of season 49 of Saturday Night Live.
And if you can't tell, we're in a great mood. Why? Because SNL is back.
I'm just so excited.
I'm just happy.
Yes.
I'm just
the world is right.
And
happy.
I'm not even wearing pants.
It is.
We wanted to talk about that, actually.
A bit awkward. We'll talk about that.
But I am wearing Shrek Crocs.
You do. And honestly, we have another podcast that's about movies and we didn't talk about those.
I know, but you know what? It's synergy because
Chris Farley did voice the original Shrek.
Or Shrek is a part of this episode.
There's that. Mike Myers voiced Shrek. He's from Saturday Night Live, but also NBC is part of the NBC Universal umbrella. DreamWorks is owned by Universal. It's all happening. It's all happening.
And Bad Buddy was Shrek.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Episode.
Yeah, there you go. See, like, this is the kind of genius that we have.
Yes,
this is what makes this podcast good.
This is why all 13 of you tune in.
Really smart.
We get it.
Really
We get it.
Really smart.
Bad Bunny, host and musical guest this episode.
Yes, first time hosting.
Second time musical guest?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he was a musical guest on February 20th, 2021 on the... You're going to have to help me pronounce this. What's the guy from Bridgerton?
Regé-Jean Page.
Thank you. Yep. When he hosted.
Mm-hmm.
He's a handsome dude.
He is a handsome dude.
He's so handsome.
Yes.
Yep.
He's not Idris Elba handsome.
Well, they're a different generation, though. He might age to perfection.
But my word.
Maybe stop trying to pit people against each other.
Yeah, exactly. Can't two people
They're both
be beautiful?
British and handsome. Why can't I say that?
Mm-hmm.
But they can both be beautiful.
Yeah. And they can both be handsome men who are just successful and just living the dream.
Did you guys know much about Bad Bunny? I didn't. Like, I'm not a Bad Bunny fan.
Bullet Train is my only experience with
the extent
Bad
of my
Bunny.
knowledge is I knew that he was a famous Puerto Rican hip hop artist who is very, very popular.
Yeah,
I know he's huge. And I saw him in Bullet Train, and I think we mentioned before he was supposed to do El Muerto, which was like a Sony Pictures comic movie.
Might still, actually, I think, right?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it sounds like he's not involved anymore.
Okay.
So yeah.
So El Muerto died.
Good one.
Is it something that he will likely kind of expand past music, you think, in the future? Is that
it remains to be seen. A part of it, I think, depends on why he's not doing El Muerto or anything like that, because I think that there's, as we'll talk about in this episode, there are limits to his capabilities on the acting front because English is not his first language. When it comes to the stuff that he did fully in Spanish, I thought he was hilarious.
Oh, of course.
And great. But there's a little bit of still to deliver there. We'll get into that. But let's just get right into the episode, I think.
Yeah, so I want to congratulate James Austin Johnson as well, because he said live from New York, it's Saturday night for the 18th time.
Oh.
Moving into 26th place.
There you go.
Tying former longtime cast members Bobby Moynihan
And Luke Null.
and Maya Rudolph.
No, not Luke Null.
And Jerry Minor.
No, who do you place above? Maya Rudolph or Bobby Moynihan? That'd be tough for me.
Oh, gosh.
That's a
That's
tough
really
one.
tough.
That
No,
is a
honestly,
tough one.
I don't think that's fair.
Because I love both of them.
Yeah,
not
they're
because
both amazing.
Yeah, I think that I like more of Bobby Moynihan's recurring characters.
Why?
But I
think
I
Maya
appreciate
Rudolph,
what she brings to the show more.
I think she's a more diverse cast member.
she does more for you as a cast
more
member.
well-rounded.
But again, as soon as I say she was so good, I'm thinking, but so was freaking Bobby Moynihan.
Yeah.
So good. So
God, I miss him so much.
I do too. I like him a lot.
all right, let's go on to Jim Jordan cold open. Jim Jordan, played by Mikey Day, is pissed about not being Speaker of the House, which is true, but is cheered up by George Santos, played by Bowen Yang, Lauren Boebert, played by Chloe Feynman, and finally, the Donald, played by James Austin Johnson. It also stars Heidi Gardner as the secretary.
Who do you think played the hand?
It's a good question.
That's a good question.
I honestly want to know because it was a real boob grab.
It was.
And it was aggressive, and it made me a little uncomfortable, and I wonder what that dynamic was like. Like maybe that was, if she sees somebody, maybe that was really her point.
I don't think they really worry about that in Hollywood because
I know, but
there's full-on sex scenes in Hollywood, man.
That was just a real. So for SNL, this was a bit of a more of a raunchy episode.
I mean, Kate McKinnon used to like tongue bathe whoever the host was during the last call sketches.
It just felt very different because like hand on boob on. It just feels. It felt weird.
The boob just crossing the line for you.
I don't know.
I mean, you'd be fine with someone licking your face, but as soon as they grab your tit, you're like, I'm done here.
Here's what it was. It was like in those scenes where Kate McKinnon's in it. It's consensual. There's two people making out. This is not, obviously it's making a joke about
it's consensual. It was her date.
Hold on. It just means that like there was no reciprocation. It's just one person doing something to somebody else.
But expected. It's not like they
For
surprised
comedy,
her.
though,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I get it, but like
It's not like someone was backstage going, "Hey, go up there and grab her tits."
no, I know, but like in the Kate McKinnon sketches, and maybe nobody agrees with me, but the two partners are making out. That's one thing. When it's one person just doing something to the other person, it's more awkward.
take that up with Lauren Boebert. Okay.
More like Lauren Boebert.
All right. So we're back to political cold opens.
Yeah, I know Jim Jordan is a loser, but I think we're all losers for having to sit through this fucking sketch.
Again, guys, why?
We got to get better. We got to get better at these
They're
political
not,
sketches.
though.
Just
Just so terrible.
don't do them.
But
Stop.
But you can't do them well. I've seen them well. When Alec Baldwin was doing Donald Trump in the beginning, that was electric, right? When I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. Cool. You've named the one.
We've had some Will Ferrell doing George Bush.
Sure.
of course.
But
the greatest hits are always going to be the greatest hits. So whenever they did a Bush Gore debate, the stuff that they had with Hillary and Barack Obama, there's plenty of good stuff that was great. But like, I think the problem is somewhere along the lines, Lorne Michaels got it in his head that with those being hits, they always need to try and replicate and get the topical stuff like right there in the cold open, because I think that's what's going to bring people in. But it's not, like 80% of the time, it's not as good as it should be if you want to keep viewers. And I think, Ben, you've mentioned this before too. It's like, if you want people to stick around for the show, like, you need to put something really good
Agreed.
up top before the monologue begins for the cold open.
What's your best sketch? And lead with that, honestly, because if you're being selfish as a business and you want people to stick around, you don't do the thing that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right?
And to be fair,
I just don't get that.
To be fair, it's not about the performances,
No,
right?
they're fine.
The
Like,
cast
all
members
that's
are
fine.
doing their
It's-
roles well.
and
it's
it's
just not well.
Well, we talked about this.
written.
Like, it's not well written because these comedians are so young. And they probably don't really give a shit about politics, but they're forced to write a political sketch. So it's like, well, I guess I watched Lauren Boebert got her tit grabbed. I guess we'll do something with that.
I don't even think that's it. I just think that like the material.
Then why is it so poorly written?
I just think that the material's not there to like really do something that is worth lampooning in a way that's genuinely laugh out loud funny.
But
Like,
they've done it before.
I also think it is so absurd now that like George Santos is an absurd character in real life.
the stuff George Santos does in
Lauren
real life
Boebert
is funnier than
is-
anything you could make up for him.
And so it's hard to satirize these characters because they're so absurd anyway. So it's like, oh, we're gonna make fun of Lauren Boebert getting her boob grabbed.
So
she did that. That's a real thing that happened.
Let me
so
ask,
it's not that funny.
Let me ask the question then. There typically these days there's only one political sketch per show, and it's the opener, right? Are we just semantically talking about survivor bias? Because there are, let's say that 1 out of every 20 of them are really out loud funny. Well, you know what? 1 out of every 20 sketches is memorable enough for like a best of DVD.
Sure, but
And so like the survivor bias might just be that because they don't have that many at bats as the political thing, 1 out of 20 is probably their average of like an all-timer sketch that you'll remember. And that's still happening whether it's political or non-political, but there's only one political sketch, and that's why it's most of the time bad, and you just have that taste in your mouth.
maybe, but I think my bigger problem though is that more often than not, if there is only one political sketch, it's typically the cold open, and it just starts the show off on like such a shit note, like it just makes me like sigh and just think, oh, fucking hell. And it probably gets a lot of people to tune out too, or like, oh geez, SNL isn't funny anymore. Like that's where that comes from.
The other thing about this is though, like
I agree.
maybe to play devil's advocate again, they don't necessarily know which sketch is going to go over super well. Like it did okay at Dresser, it did funny at Dresser, this and that. So when you're saying, oh, like that one sketch with Pedro Pascal was hilarious and it was surprisingly so, they wouldn't know to move that one to the front because they didn't know it was going to be that good.
Sure, I think there's some of that, but like there's enough consistency there that like they know what they're doing for the most part. Like every
Clearly they don't.
No, I mean that's the thing is I don't know. I was just so frustrated by this sketch. There were 2 practical nitpicks I have. Did you guys notice them?
The boob grab.
There's something about the boob grab.
No, go ahead. What is it?
So the first one is
It didn't go honk honk.
so, yeah, whenever I grab a boob, there's a cartoon sound that goes
It's
on.
true. No, it's true.
So first of all, Mikey Day as Jim Jordan breaks his phone, and Heidi Garner brings him a new one in.
Yep.
They don't ever hook up the new phone, but then he gets a call on it.
Okay.
You can see the cord plugged into the phone that was on his desk.
There we go.
Yeah.
The second,
And the other one,
You're fun to watch, SNL with.
when he broke the phone though, it looked fake. It didn't look like a real broken phone.
the second one, and I don't know why this wasn't easily rectified or fixed because they do stuff like this very easily all the time, is when they cut to Lauren Boebert, who's supposed to be in a theater show, she's in one theater seat and there's just a fuchsia background behind her. You couldn't put a green screen behind her or even some kind of mat or something that made it look like she was actually in a theater.
Or just like 3 to 5 chairs with extras.
Yeah, like two people sitting behind her. Like you just have her sit in one like plush theater chair and like, no, we're just gonna put that pink background behind her. That'll work. Piss me off.
I'm thinking
they
more.
build these beautiful sets.
I know,
and they can't do anything.
Because no one cares about the political cold open, not even the crew.
Yeah, there you
do
go.
you think there's a subtlety missing in some of the political humor too? You think back to,
They're really hitting it on the
Will Ferrell doing George Bush, and then when like Dana Carvey did George Bush Sr., and they played on the Dana Carvey, George Bush Sr. is a lot smarter than George Bush thing, and George Bush is kind of a little bit simpler kind of thing. And, he goes and he kisses his son, on the cheek and things like this. It was a subtlety. It was something that everyone was thinking, but nobody was saying kind of thing about their relationship. It brought it to the light.
I think to Brad's point, though,
I just don't think any of their political humor is doing that now. It's not subtle. It's not good.
I think to Brad's
it's not
point,
smart.
Honestly, you said something right there that brings up Brad's point, which was it was something that everybody was talking about privately, but nobody was saying.
Yeah.
Now everyone is saying it all the time, and so SNL isn't doing a weekend and not because they can't.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it's not been on Fox News or MSNBC. Like, did you see Lauren Boebert?
Right.
If it was a news story that was printed in the New York Times that only a few people read, then they made fun of it. That's clever political comedy. But when it's everywhere and you're just doing the same thing that these people have done, it's hitting you in the face with something, beating a dead horse at that point.
Yeah.
Do you also think that social media hurts it because the punchlines are already out there before
every
sketches
there's tons of other funnier jokes that are already online before SNL.
I wonder if that's hard too.
The internet is undefeated, right?
Yep.
When you post a tweet that is thirsty or dumb and you get roasted by the entirety of the internet, the cream of the crop will rise and you'll get like, this is the funniest thing I've ever read. And then SNL does a bit about it 2 weeks later and you're like, wow, that's really tired.
So then do you have to go, do you think, again, we're idiots, but do you think it would be more helpful to go more absurdist in it? So you put these political characters, you make some political commentary, but in the context of a game show or in the context of something else.
I think more often than not, that has worked better. Every now and then you do have a sketch that is meant to be just basic satire that does land for whatever reason because they figure out a good premise, a good spin on like a real world event that happened. But so much of it just comes from like just pointing out and mocking the politics and like the people themselves, and that's not always where the best comedy comes from.
I want to see Jim Jordan running for PTA president at his kid's school and not winning 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Like I want to take the politics out of it, put it in the real world where it's not just doing the thing that happened, but kind of doing the thing that how hard is that? I think that'd be funnier. I'm not a writer, obviously, but it's just so easy.
And what makes me a little worried is that we're getting ready for another political season coming up, right? This is all
again?
I know, right?
They keep doing it.
And so it's going to get worse. After the beginning of the year, probably we're going to get a lot of, because the election year is there. And I just hope they figure it out. I really hope they do.
And I hope that they don't do the thing they've been doing, which because they had success with Tina Fey and because they had success with Alec Baldwin, whoever the front runner is on both, it's like, what's Woody Harrelson doing, or what's John Goodman doing, or let's get somebody famous in to play that. I want to see the cast be able to be the cast and do it better.
Alec Baldwin wasn't the cast, and that was, an all timer, right? He was
because of the success of that, then they started doing it too much, right? Jim Carrey came in, and it's fine, but the SNL at its roots, I think, is a very cast-based thing. And the cast is so big right now that you're limiting so much time for these people to really be funny.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Bad Bunny monologue. First-time host Bad Bunny talks about speaking English and Spanish and gets help from his translator, Pedro Pascal. Now, Brad, as the lone Latino member of this podcast, did you enjoy the Spanish bits of it?
Yeah. And there's a lot of them in this episode too, which we'll get to. But I think what I appreciate most is that Bad Bunny is somebody, obviously, because he's very successful, he brings with him a certain level of confidence that
Absolutely.
maybe certain people aren't afforded. Even somebody who understands it, he doesn't speak English very well, acknowledges it, but he's still having fun. He's very charming.
It didn't matter to him.
No, yeah, it was great.
was awesome.
Like that. Honestly, the one line where I was like, "Oh, okay, he's pretty cool," is when he talks about he's like everyone's been wondering. It's like, why are you hosting SNL? And it's like, well, I do whatever I want to.
Exactly. It's so good.
Yeah.
And the fact that he said that and everybody in the audience that was clearly there to see him was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like that swagger cannot, that's international swagger. I don't give a shit.
He really has some
transcends
impressive
it.
swagger. Yeah. And that really shows too, because you'll get like talented actors in here who are clearly nervous and they don't necessarily vibe with the live comedy element of it. And he wasn't perfect all the time throughout the show.
But he wasn't nervous.
Yeah, he was not nervous.
Was definitely not. He's like, it's almost like he thought in his head, if this doesn't go well, I'm still Bad Bunny.
Yeah, I'm still crushing it.
Exactly. My whole life is great.
And he is.
Yes.
But then again, it wasn't so cocky that like he like Pete Davidson did last season where he just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He clearly cared and was all in. But that confidence, man, you cannot teach that.
There was an element where he did. He actually reminded me a little bit of you, Ben.
We do share very similar bone
The picture
structure.
where he didn't have the clothes on.
You do like to sit on sand dunes with just a towel on your crotch.
Where we record at Ben's house,
It's
and
true.
there's a lot of posters of him slightly
A
naked.
lot of sand around too.
Honestly, it gets everywhere.
But no, he was very charming, and I liked what he brought to the table, bringing Pedro Pascal out to quote unquote
I love
help
him
him
so
with
much.
translating.
Oh, good Lord.
And it was like it wasn't something that was like laugh out loud funny, but it was a cute bit because they do the thing where he says something really long in Spanish, and then Pedro Pascal is like, "Yeah, I'm really excited to be here with my favorite actor, Pedro Pascal."
Also, Brad, you said a technical question. What were they saying?
Oh, I catch words here and there, but I am not fluent in el español.
Do you speak worse Spanish than Bad Bunny speaks English?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Is your mom fluent in Spanish?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so
my mom and my aunt and my deceased grandparents.
You are a disappointment.
Oh, absolutely, in more ways than one. Not just the Spanish. I'm a diverse disappointer.
No, Nate, I believe it's called El Disappointmento.
Yeah.
That's the word.
All right, moving on. Let's go to Rap Battle, written by Jake Nordwind. A rapper, Mikey Day, played by Mikey Day, raps about his incestual relations with Bad Bunny as the other rapper, with Kenan Thompson as the host, Michael Longfellow and Punky Johnson as two of the audience members, and Ego Wodum and Devin Walker as Day's friends. By the way, I've been saying Ego Nuodum, and apparently it's Ego Wodum. I just learned this week.
Is that true?
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure whenever I hear Daryl Hammond say it, he says Ego Nwodum.
I would like some clarification from the judges because I heard Ego Wodum.
On what? On
yeah,
what?
where?
Where someplace that she was. I can't remember the clip, but it was like
So somebody mispronounced her name.
Yeah,
and you think
maybe-
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
No,
I don't know if you've ever been there before, where it's like, oh no, have I been saying this word wrong for so long?
I'm 90% sure you hear the N.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But they said Ego Wodum. I'm like,
Maybe it just kind of ran together so
Yeah,
close.
No,
That,
it's Ego Nuoro.
Ego Nwodum. Yeah.
What if it's not?
Then I'll eat my hat, but it's Ego Nuoro.
Yeah, and
because I've been saying it for 3 years.
And I'll watch.
And I am not willing to admit I've been wrong for 3
and honestly,
years.
I had to look it up then because I wanted to make sure I didn't fuck it up. You know?
Yeah, no, I finally got saying it right, and now I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
All right, Rap Battle. What'd you guys think of this?
I thought it was pretty good. This is obviously taking a cue from 8 Mile, the final battle in the movie where Eminem literally does the same thing where he takes all of like the good stuff that's going to be used against him and makes fun of himself before the other rapper gets a chance to. But this takes it to a delightfully absurd level. Talking about his not having any balls and living.
No, having 4 balls.
Well, at first it's not having any balls. And
I'm pretty sure it's just like he's got 4 balls, 2 lower and 2 upper.
Oh, that's right. That's,
Yep.
But yeah, so like
Awesome.
I like Bad Bunny's response to is like it's like I can I help you at all? Like if you need to talk to me,
Like he seemed like almost like a sweetheart.
Yeah.
there.
And I do know that this is like the first sketch of the night, and so this was the first time that I'm seeing. Okay, this might be a little rough because, of course, if somebody speaks fluent English and can respond immediately and with the kind of inflection you'd need, maybe it goes a little better. However, again, it's just really fun to see a guy who barely speaks the language still be able to do it.
Yeah.
And it was he pulls it off.
And I think it worked to his advantage in this one because in a way it kind of applied to the character.
Sure,
Because
yeah,
he's
yeah.
reacting and like, I don't really know what
Yeah.
to say. I'm
Yeah.
sorry you
I give
went
you a
through
hug.
that.
Like this-
Yeah.
and it's all very
nervousness is
yeah.
almost
Yeah.
part
it's
of
all
it,
very
yeah.
stilted and which is a great lead up. Like that's great that this is the first sketch they had him do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good sketch. It wasn't a great sketch.
Two things for me, one good, one bad about the Brad Mantics. I'm going to start calling this. So Brad Mantically, Punky Johnson didn't appear in the last shot of this of the scene, and she was in it the whole time. And they cut to that scene, and I think it's was it Marcelo Hernandez? That was
Michael Longfellow.
Michael-
Sorry, he's standing there, but Punky Johnson's nowhere to be seen. She clearly had to go to the next sketch.
Well, some
She
people
had to get ready
also,
for telenovela.
and some people leave rap battles.
I'm gonna guess she had to get ready for telenovela.
So I get that, but it's like then don't make her that. I don't know. I didn't like that. But then the other thing I did like is that when Egunodum leaves, she was drinking a big gulp, and the only thing left on the stool is the big gulp. So it's not like they were never there, but it's like your friends left, and the only thing they left is their drink.
Yeah.
So there's a good and a bad there with set decoration and decision making.
There you go.
All right, moving on. The Age of Discovery. I cannot pronounce this in Spanish. Maybe you can, Brad. How do you
No.
say the Age of Discovery?
It's something. I don't know what the word for age is, but it's some.
La era de
La era de descubierto.
descubrimiento.
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 Written by shooters.
Ana de armas.
written by Shooter Seidel and Marcelo Hernandez. In Spain, two peasants or pescants, Mikey Day, Mikey Day. Let me start this.
Hold on a second. Did you
God.
say Peskins?
That's the word, yes.
Pescantes. No, I don't know.
I'm going to say,
Pescantes.
Look,
All right.
Maybe we'll look up the word pescans
yeah, I'm
and see
going
if it's a
to
thing.
look it up.
It might
What
be.
are you reading this off of? Your notes? That you
Yeah,
did in 5 minutes?
the same one I got.
Same place you got the trivia
quiz from.
questions.
By the way, I know that was you were not happy with that. It was delightful. I was having the best time listening to you do that.
Yeah,
it
it
was
is-
so funny.
It doesn't look. Well, funnily enough, the word pescant is a Spanish word that means
Rape.
No, but it must be peasant. It must be just.
I
like
think it's the
typo.
Spanish word for peasant, but I'm going to change it to peasant
Yeah, that's fine.
because
Because we
again,
don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Pescante.
All right. In Spain, or let me start. In Spain, two peasants, played by Mikey Day and longtime retired cast member, Fred Armisen, pitch and show The King and His Son, played by Bad Bunny and Marcelo Hernandez, things that they discovered during their voyage in the New World. Andrew Dismukes appears as one of the servants. The entire sketch is in Spanish.
I think Andrew Dismukes is actually more of like a holy man, like a friar.
Yeah.
He's got that haircut.
yeah,
and he's
sure.
got the holy water.
Friar Tuck style.
Yeah, because the holy water was, I think, hilarious,
yeah,
actually.
it was great.
I loved it. What did you guys think?
It worked on all levels.
I absolutely love this sketch, and this really was what showed how great Bad Bunny is
I
speaking
thought
in
so
his
too.
negative language because he's very funny in this sketch.
He's
Like,
hilarious.
his facial expressions, the way he says stuff, like in Spanish, incredulously responding to the things.
Lead with that.
Yeah, like
It's just so good.
the way that they said "caca" when they're talking about the cigar.
Why does it have testicles on its face?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you brought this. This is amazing. A horse, but worse.
Worse.
I mean,
It got me too because
Yeah.
I was actually been like, maybe he does like it.
Yeah.
because it's the fact that they so cleverly written that the second animal could technically be something they like.
Yeah.
and it got me because I was like, oh, maybe this is it
which
totally,
felt very
so
Marcelo
good.
Hernandez, right?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
he's
God.
got that kind of sarcasm. And he was a star this whole episode.
And then
Marcelo Hernandez.
and they end with gold, and I was like, yeah, dude,
Lead with that next
lead with
time.
that next.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And I also appreciate it. It felt like an old school joke too, but the fact that they ended on bringing back the joke they did earlier when they're like, well, we can't.
It was
because
a
they-
perfect
go
ending.
go
You
around.
and even the friar guy,
Yeah.
right?
Go around.
You go around.
We've talked about this before. Sometimes SNL
Amazing.
sketches don't know their way out of the sketch.
Oh,
This one,
full
perfect
circle,
from beginning
full
to end.
circle.
It was
Yeah,
like
well
a
done.
like a globe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Full circle.
And it was good all around too. I mean, from the production design
Yep.
to the only thing, one shortcoming I would say,
Oh God.
it's very clear they don't have enough Hispanic cast
Well,
members.
Mikey Day
'cause
does
Mikey
not-
Day's Spanish
He
sucks.
speaks Spanish. Like he could,
It was better than us.
yeah, no. A la izquierda, eat quesadillas.
That's pretty good, Mikey Day.
No, I don't.
But no,
Also, you just said to the left quesadillas.
I know, and I appreciate that. Like, Mikey, if you're listening, that was great because nobody. They ran out of Spanish speaking.
They had to bring in Fred Armisen.
Yeah, they really did. And so when Bad Bunny hosted in the monologue, I said to myself, "Oh man, it kind of sucks that Fred Armisen isn't still in the cast because they could clearly have a lot of truly back and forth." And so to see him was delightful, honestly.
What do you guys think of Andrew Smukes in this one?
It's just a funny bit little part. Like
that's why I love it. Is he's become a person that if you put him in there, he's going to do enough silliness that I'm going to love it. Yeah.
Go around, dude. What are you going
and the way he splashed the holy water. Like,
that was no, honestly, this was and the subtitles and the fact that it's all it was incredible.
Yeah,
loved it.
Very well done.
Bold, honestly, to do this because it was all in Spanish, and so
I really this was one of several sketches where I really appreciated how the writers and the cast leaned into making Bad Bunny look good by doing sketches that like used his native language, right? and let him be funny in a way. Like, they didn't try to force him into a situation where it wasn't going to work. You know, there's a couple sketches that are rough because of the language barrier that he has, since he's not, you know, super fluid with English. But the way they let him use Spanish, like, made him very funny in this episode.
That's a great point, Brad, because I do truly feel like sometimes when anybody, and I'm not talking about language barriers or anything, sometimes when a host comes on, it's like the show doesn't know how to utilize their actual strengths.
Yeah.
And this is a great example of like, fuck it, we're going to go all in on making you look the best you can and giving you an opportunity. And they must have known, obviously, based on the fact that he is incredible in his native language.
Yeah.
You know, if Marcelo Hernandez is speaking with Bad Bunny for 4 seconds, he's like, oh wait, no, this guy gets it. And then they can have that conversation.
From what I understand too, because my girlfriend or my fiance Brittany is more into the music scene than I am, and she's very familiar with Bad Bunny and likes his music. And she said that he is even very funny, like in his music videos and stuff like that. So apparently,
you can tell he's very charismatic.
Yeah,
like he's got that element to him.
And to kind of piggyback off what you're saying too, I think that maybe some of the issue isn't necessarily like SNL maybe having like a shortcoming in not like figuring out what to do with a host, is that maybe sometimes the host just isn't forthcoming enough to like let them figure it out.
Brad, that is super fair, honestly.
Yeah.
That seems like I'm really shitting on SNL.
Yeah.
But realistically, if somebody shows up and they're like, this is what we're working with, I mean, we're trying, but you won't even lean into the things that you are good at, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You want to be against type? Cool.
Yeah. You don't want to make fun of this part of
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Language barriers is a big hurdle to get over,
especially in comedy.
It's the biggest, right? So I look at this as also, for example, Megan Thee Stallion, right? She was Megan Thee Stallion every sketch.
Yeah,
she didn't try at all to be different, and I feel like Bad Bunny did a great job of just leaning in and being like, I'm going to try to not be Bad Bunny.
And at the very least, if it didn't work, he was trying for sure.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
All right, moving on. Telenovela, written by Jimmy Fowley and Kara O'Sullivan. Actors Bad Bunny and Marcelo Hernandez try to practice their lines while Latina Jefferson, played by Punky Johnson, keeps tripping over her lines, with Mikey Day as the director and Mick Jagger, for some reason, plays the pair's father.
Yeah, that was
of all the cameos we didn't need in this episode was Mick Jagger.
Fucking weird,
so random, like,
and not great. Like, what are you
he's friends with Lorne Michaels, and he was spend the night or something. He's hey, you got something for me?
Is Mick Jagger good friends with Bad Bunny?
No, I think
it was the oddest thing.
I think there is like some sort of either tour or album release that's happening
that's nearby.
I'm not joking. I think that they really are doing something, and so he's
the
like,
two of them?
No.
Mick Jagger and Bad Bunny.
Well, that's I'm like,
we're hitting the road.
It's Mick Bunny. That sounds oddly racist, and I don't know why. No, the idea that the Rolling Stones or Mick Jagger are doing something, and then Mick Jagger calls up Lorne Michaels like,
who are friends? They are.
Yeah, they are
both
friends.
Of them are
I'd like to come on the show to promote this, and he's like, I mean, I guess. Bad
Bunny.
Seriously though,
take him out. What did you think of this sketch?
So I thought this was pretty funny for the most part. You make great use of Bad Bunny here by having him speak Spanish, limited English words, and of course the focus is on Punky Johnson's character because she's just hilariously poorly speaking Spanish. This is some of the funniest shitty Spanish I've heard.
Oh my god,
ever.
She was hilarious.
But also it's so good because
you sounded Italian.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that was a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I speak almost no Spanish, but I can. You know what I can do? recognize Spanish words. And what she was saying, I couldn't tell
it was
what
tough.
words they
It was
were.
Yeah, you can tell that's something. What you just said is nothing.
It's not, yeah. What
but
are you
it
doing?
sounded
What?
Spanish enough.
No,
right?
it was awesome.
One point she said Danny DeVito though.
Oh my God. Seriously. And also, I mean, I've never listen, at the end there was a poster. I'm like, Punky Johnson's beautiful. Like that's a nice.
I mean, I think that was pretty photoshopped. Having said that, the ending was the weakest part.
Oh, it's terrible.
Not necessarily because of Mick Jagger, because the Mick Jagger thing
No, that's whatever.
wasn't terrible, because it was kind of amusing to see him in a role like that. It's felt weird because why is Mick Jagger here?
Yeah,
his appearance overshadowed the amusement of
I couldn't
seeing
pay
Mick Jagger in that
attention
role.
to the plot because I'm thinking, why is Mick Jagger here?
I get Pedro Pascal. I think we all do.
Like if Mick Jagger was hosting, I would have been like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty
Yep.
funny."
But what are you
yeah.
doing here?
So weird.
No, but you're talking about the end, right?
Yeah. That when when she's like, I have my own show, and here's the poster for it, and it's like that was a badass Nani.
Yeah.
But my favorite joke in this sketch though is when she comes in. She's like, "Hold on, did he call me a Negro?"
Yeah.
She's like, no, Negro means black. She's like, "Yeah, I know what it means."
Yeah. the color, not the people. Oh, that was so good.
I like it now better talking to you guys about it than I had some. I thought it was funny.
in the moment
it seemed
watching
like
it was
a
a
one
little
trick
rough.
pony
Yeah.
joke.
There is some rough stuff to it, but I liked it for the most part. I thought it was pretty good.
It was a little bit because even when they were doing take 2 and take 3, both Bad Bunny and Marcel Hernandez are elongating, right? And that's fine, but I don't speak Spanish. And so the fact that they were saying even more and more,
What?
you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
Even though they were saying more and more, it was lost on me. So I don't know. I'm not in on that joke where they started saying a sentence and a sentence, and that became 4 sentences and 4 sentences. Cool. I don't know what you're saying. And maybe closed captioning would have worked there, but it's not a pre-tape, so they can't do that. That's the only nitpick I have because
They actually still do closed captioning for the live show.
they should have tried.
All right, moving on. Please don't destroy. Bad Bunny is Shrek. Bad Bunny writes his own version of Shrek with each of the boys playing their own character. Ben as Puss in Boots, Martin as Donkey and John, for some reason as Michael Jackson. Property of A24. I loved this so much.
Lord, I loved it.
It was
no notes. I have no notes.
No notes.
I have no
Bad
notes.
Bunny was hilarious.
He's amazing.
In this. It was just
So funny.
so good. Everything.
It's a different kind of confidence that Bad Bunny brought to this
every
one.
camera take to a new character, or you see Michael Jackson there, or then you see
we
Puss in
talked
Boots.
about
It's just so freaking funny.
we talked about Bad Bunny's charisma and the fact that he's like, yeah, I'm still me, right? This was not dripping of charisma or the Riz, as the kids call it. This is more like, I don't understand why you don't think this is an amazing idea. So it was
Well, but even beyond that though, because he plays it so aloof, because he doesn't care, but he's like, well, you like Shrek. He's like, well,
yeah.
It's
like, why are you doing this?
it's okay.
Yeah. No, but
Well, you brought up Shrek first.
What do you say?
it's so
You're in a
absurd.
Shrek costume, my man.
But yeah,
no,
it was,
I'm pretty sure you brought up Shrek first. What?
yeah, but just the way he was kind of lackadaisical about wanting to do it, but he had the script for the movie and then having them do it. Also, the makeup they used for the teeth on Donkey was incredibly unsettling.
Because if you look,
Which makes it even more funny, though. It's
I
just
looked
so
up
good.
Donkey from Shrek, and he does have an askew tooth. Like
He
that.
does, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
But it's the way it's
so pronounced in his mouth.
It's the way it sits on his mouth.
It's so
And
dumb.
honestly, if you would have shown me a picture, I wouldn't have known that was Martin Hurley.
Yep.
And the Shimon
Oh,
the Michael
God.
Jackson.
Shimon, I can't do this.
It's not. It doesn't make sense.
It's just it was every line was so funny
Yeah,
to me in this.
every
It just
single
hit
thing
so
worked.
well. I don't know how these guys do it every week. Where they come up with,
And a solid quick ending too is nah, I don't like it.
Yeah. Throw it in the trash. What the hell are we doing? Yeah. So good.
All right, move on. Weekend update with Colin Jost and Michael Che. Weekend update anchors. Colin Jost and Michael Che tackle the week's biggest news, like Joe Biden giving a strong warning to anyone thinking about attacking Israel, where he also said the attacks were like 15 9/11s, the new candidates for Speaker of the House, Trump's gag order, and more. Let's do the pedometer here. That's a meter on how much we think Brad enjoyed the host's chemistry. And Ben and I guess what this is, and then Brad tells us how wrong we were.
Last week, Brad said
I got closer.
I said 65, and he said 72, and you said 68.
Yeah, something like that.
This is definitely a 65. It's definitely lower than last week.
I'm going 54.
Okay.
I thought this was one of the weekest weekend updates I've seen in a long time.
Right.
Nate's a tiny bit over, but he's right. I was going to give this a 50 just because it was like mid down the middle. Not really. There was some chuckling at each other, but not really any interaction.
I win that one then, right?
Yeah, and I honestly think that
we both went over. It's the Price is Right rules.
But no, I win.
I think
What?
Honestly, I think that this edition of Weekend Update was just kind of meh. There was
Rare for a weekend update with
hold
these
on.
two guys.
I will say though, there were a couple jokes. The don't thing at the beginning is fine enough, but then the Secret Service dog, his dog biting Secret Service. I laughed out loud at that. Like it's a good joke.
There was a couple good laugh out loud moments, but otherwise I was just kind of like politely chuckling throughout this one.
See, I thought there were.
I also thought it ended weird, and that's Weekend Update.
Yeah, it kind of
That was a little strange.
and I didn't really care anything about like the Jada Pinkett Smith thing. It's not like it's like a particularly interesting impression. And
we'll get into that too. The Weekend Update bit, Jada Pinkett Smith on her marriage to Will Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith, played by Egon Woodham, stops by Weekend Update to discuss her book Worthy and her marriage to Will Smith.
So this is the same problem they have with the political stuff. You're just repeating what's
the
really
actual
happening.
story.
What's happening is already ridiculous enough to laugh about in the news. Like
There's
you're not
nothing
making
here.
it funny.
Exactly.
The only thing,
here.
the one part that was amusing was when she just she's like, oh, and you brought up Tupac, and he's like, I didn't, man.
But again,
I
that is a
loved to have
one-off,
seen.
right?
Yeah, I would have loved to have changed that to bring Will Smith on, just learning that he hasn't been married for 6 years, right? Like,
do
he
anything,
didn't know it. Do something, right?
Do anything around the story.
Change the angle of the story
yeah.
instead of just literally doing an impression of the story that already exists.
It's so weird to me that they choose to do that. Yeah, no, I was
nothing against Egon Woodham. She does a great job,
fine,
but it's just it just didn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it was a rare miss for me for Weekend Update.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the two hosts
also
had
it was,
much
it was
chemistry.
It was
either.
really short too, so maybe there was something there.
Yeah, I mean there was only I did notice that a lot of the sketches were around 5 to 6 minutes. So I wonder if they just had longer sketches.
And so then that's where they chose to cut. So
maybe that's why
they
it was
cut one of the Weekend Update.
Quick update.
Yeah, maybe you didn't have like
ending.
a second guest at the desk or something like that.
They were like, sorry, Bobby Moynihan, drunk uncle, not this week.
Yeah, only one, yeah. All right, Protected Mom 2, written by Martin Herlihy, Marcelo Hernandez, John Higgins, Ben Marshall, and Asha Ward. A son, played by Marcelo Hernandez, brings his new girlfriend, played by Chloe Trost. Did you notice her, Brad?
She was in this one?
She was in this one.
Got
It was not Chloe Feynman.
A collector.
Brings her home to his aunt, played by Bad Bunny, and mother Pedro Pascal, and things escalate from there. This is obviously bringing back a sketch that Marcelo Hernandez wrote back in the Pedro Pascal episode. What did you guys think? I still think it's hilarious.
Yeah, honestly, this was one of the rare instances where the second time doing a sketch worked just as well, if not slightly better.
I
than
disagree
the first
there,
one.
but I will say it's so close.
I don't know. Bad Bunny did well in
Yeah,
this too.
and the way that they bounced off each other was really nice too. And I also really appreciated like the introduction of new more niche things, because like you have the overall cultural view of like how Hispanic mothers treat their sons and how they react of like not believing in depression and all that kind of thing.
Which is, I don't know if you guys watched that clip when Marcelo Hernandez was on Seth Meyers, is a real thing that he got from his mother.
That's a real thing that like Hispanic like families in general like they kind of disregard depression as like a real thing.
The funniest thing is the entire thing. Again, Pedro Pascal walks over to the trash, dumps out all, and he takes his time, and it takes a minute for those things to fall out,
but
and then he immediately puts.
Kudos to him, by the way, for doing.
And he's looking right in the camera, basically. But then
put the yarn
in it, because even though I'm not Hispanic, I know
that was one of the bits that I was like, that's
so
perfect.
fucking
I was
good.
shocked at the audience reaction to that. They just love that bit.
And I'm hoping, obviously, because it's Bad Bunny, right? There's a lot of Hispanic people in the audience,
absolutely,
and so then they get it right, which just. Oh, what a great! So I'm sure that's Marcel Hernandez writing.
Yeah, and that was one of like the niche things that I was like, yeah,
so
this is just perfect.
I'm guessing this whole idea is Marcelo Hernandez and the Please Don't Destroy guys are coming around him to help kind of clarify and do
the other
some of
part that I love about this is because Pedro Pascal is so good at sketch. is if you notice in that moment, right, he took the time to dump it, right, and they weren't all falling out at once, but he didn't freak out. And then one of the yarn things fell on the ground, and he bent over, he picked it up, and he put it in there. He took his time. Everything was in character. That's what a mom would have done. It wasn't rushed. He's great.
Yeah. I love the Spanglish too, of like the little English that they insert there, and it makes the punchline.
I'm pretty sure she's talking about me.
Yeah, there's so much like to be said about how well like you can make comedy work where you don't, if you don't speak Spanish, you don't understand most of what's being said, but it's phrased in such a way that if you get enough keywords in there, you understand exactly what it is.
It's all right tone, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can tell she's talking shit about her.
Yeah.
And then she's just like flat ass or whatever. That's great.
Greta Thunberg.
Oh my God, that made me laugh out loud.
No, I agree, Brad. It's for me as good as the first one, which is hard. And I just love that they brought Pedro Pascal back for this. But also, Bad Bunny was great.
He did a great. Bad Bunny did a
was.
great job. Yeah.
All right, moving on. Subway platform. A man played by Devin Walker talks to an employer, played by James Austin Johnson, about the results. While a bunch of crazy things happen in an adjacent train with Mikey Day, Heidi Gardner, Punky Johnson, Ego Nwodim, Kenan Thompson, Bowen Yang, Marcelo Hernandez, and Molly Carney. This is a little bit like the IHOP sketch, isn't it?
Well, Waffle House.
Not
Waffle House. Sorry, Waffle House.
It's a lot like the Waffle House sketch,
You get that name right.
And I am fine with that because I honestly do think that there's comedic value in this as a recurring.
I was fine with
premise.
this as well,
For sure.
It was very funny, not as well done as the first one because as we were very shocked to learn in after the episode was out and everything, they shot the Waffle House bits and the foreground bits of the CW drama separately and put them together. Here, you could see the seams because there was a lot more clear that there was green screen behind Devin Walker and James Austin Johnson. I don't think that what was happening in the background was always quite as funny as what was happening with the Waffle House.
I agree.
But I still think that I got
There was plenty here to laugh at.
Yes, absolutely. I by no means was I
the
disappointed.
rat was just so freaking funny.
Yeah, I mean, because we're comparing this to what was one of the better sketches last year.
Seriously,
whole
of
season.
the whole season.
Yeah, exactly.
And this did not fall far away. I mean, it was not as good of her, but man, every new character I laughed at.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to watch the background because obviously you know what's happening with the kind of the Will Smith vibe of what's that movie? Sorry.
The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of vibe there. And I'm like, okay, I get this now. And knowing that the Waffle House sketch existed, I knew I could tune out to what these two characters.
Oh
saying.
yeah, I couldn't even tell you how that played out.
That was the problem for me is I was watching those two too much.
Yeah, I knew immediately. Oh, I can watch what's back here.
See, that's the difference between you and me and Nate. Is Nate cares about the heartfelt stuff, and we're just like, show me the stupid shit.
Yep, yeah. No. I don't know.
At the end, I was crying because a homeless guy might have a job, and you guys were laughing at
Kenan Thompson's dick is pretty big in that blur.
The way Punky Johnson hit that bag with the rat against the window.
Oh, scared of a rat. It was so good.
But yeah, this was I really like this one.
And honestly, so when they don't know how to end a sketch, right? But he gets on the train, and then Kenan Thompson's characters are recurring, and that's good. And then they end it. They don't do something weird. I like that.
And I love that. And they actually held back a little bit too. I feel like because they didn't make him say his line again. They just have him looking and smiling.
Yep. And I love that. Yeah, not too on the nose.
Good stuff.
Yep, great job, SNL.
Moving on, convent meeting. The head nun, played by Molly Carney, informs the other nuns, played by Bad Bunny, Chloe Feynman, Heidi Gardner, Punky Johnson, Ego Nwodim, Sarah Sherman, who's there, I think, for her first sketch of the night, and Chloe Trost, that there is a man amongst their group. It is eventually revealed to be Sister Kevin, played again, for some reason, by Mick Jagger.
I gotta say, of the two sketches that brought in Mick Jagger last minute, this is the
preferable.
one that worked, and this is the one that
preferable.
made the most sense.
Yeah, I don't care
because needed him, but
I don't give a shit that it's Mick Jagger, but I love that it wasn't Bad Bunny, right? Like,
Yeah.
of course.
That was a great twist.
yeah, they were definitely leading up to making you think.
I love the fact that that this is a sketch where it's not in Spanish, so Bad Bunny has to absolutely do his best at English, and I just kept watching him going like, no matter what you say, I'm in love right now because his vibe comes through there. Like, of course, all the ladies would like that. So,
and some of the awkwardness of him
is great.
Works
right?
for
it
this
works.
character
Yeah,
too.
it was perfect.
Like he was poorly trying to hide it, as if he were the man. You know?
Like, yeah, no, but who is that? Like, it worked so well.
Stop.
That's clever writing mixed with a great premise.
Yeah.
Is it Sister Act 3? Is that what they went?
Yeah, which
the end. Again, the fucking peacock ending. Fucking
Stop it.
stupid.
Stop it.
Don't do it. You don't
need it. You don't need it.
Yeah, just let it be. But yeah, and so this Mick Jagger did work in this one, I think.
It was not bad.
It was fine. It wasn't necessary in my opinion.
Not necessary,
Like,
but
you didn't need Mick Jagger to do that cameo.
of course. But if you were going to put Mick Jagger in one
Agreed.
sketch tonight, it should have been this one, and that's the perfect role for him.
Yeah, and that would have been awesome if it was a one-off and that's all he did. You're like, this is shocking, but also fine. He's an aging sex symbol, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense because
Yeah.
you've got an aging sex symbol that
Exactly.
can do that role.
It was also funny, just like the idea that, but it's almost Halloween, and that's why we should all get railed.
And also the one thing too is, and I don't know if this was meant to be like disguising Sister Kevin poorly, or if Mick Jagger just made the rock decision is like, no, I'm not putting on the black nun sleeves, because it was just his white button down with the nun hood over it and black pants.
No, I don't want to. No, I need to be Sister Kevin. No, make my name Kevin. People need to know I'm a male.
Mick Jagger, can you put the sleeves on? No,
No.
not funny.
And honestly, so after John Mulaney's bit about that, as soon as he showed up in the very first sketch, I was like, fuck this guy. Like, I know he's an asshole, and I don't want to be a part of this. Diet Coke! Not funny!
All right.
Fuck you, Mick Jagger. I said it.
Final sketch of the night. A man, played by Mikey Day, tries to tell his employees, played by Bowen Yang, Ego Nwodum, Bad Bunny, and Kenan Thompson, about company layoffs, while one of the company employers, Enrique, played by Bad Bunny, talks about his daughter's marriage. This kind of reminded me a little bit of, like, I don't know if Bad Bunny was trying to do a little bit of an accent or a little bit of a kind of a weird kind of vocal intonation. It kind of reminded me of the Pedro Pascal in the hospital bed sketch.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't get that. I did think
I didn't think about that either, but like maybe.
I do think he was putting on.
That's what I'm saying. Like I felt like that silliness of a voice was there.
I think it was him trying to be like
shy,
like an adorable kind of guy. Like
it did come across that way.
I'm very excited about my daughter's wedding.
Actually, I watched this one twice. It was funny the second time. I didn't dislike the sketch at all.
I did. Did
you?
Yeah.
Watch it again though, because I honestly.
What do you have against Bad Bunny?
I did see it twice because Brittany watched it separately from me because she
Fiance. Brittany?
Because I had to watch it earlier in the morning to write my review. And she so she watched it and I watched it with her again. And I just didn't think that the premise itself was all that funny. Like it was amusing on some level, and I do appreciate the way that Bad Bunny kind of made it adorable, because the way he is speaking, like it is cute.
It is. It's very
it's a cute way he's doing it. I just didn't think it was particularly funny, so I didn't
like
really
just
like
the
it.
kind of the fabric of the sketch
Yeah,
itself.
it just didn't feel like it was good for me.
I have been in meetings though where people are like Bad Bunny.
Sure, of
where
course.
they're like, and so like I got that kind of humor in it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't certainly my favorite sketch. I thought Bad Bunny himself though did fairly well.
I thought
in the
he
sketch.
was fine. Yeah. I do think this was the one sketch though where if there was an issue with him being funny because he's not that great at speaking English, this was the sketch that it hurt the most.
Ben, what did you think about this one?
So I think the one positive about it was when they broke off into the 2 and 2 groups, and that Kenan Thompson didn't do what I thought he was going to do, which is complain about.
But he got on board with it.
He got on board with it. And be like, well, yeah, no. The biggest decision is wedding, DJ, or band. Because a band, and that part of it got me a little bit, because I was like, okay, this is comedy is what's unexpected, and I didn't expect that. They went to the same well though, of course, like 3 or 4 times, and again, we really just like and I understand good for you, but we really need to get on.
Yeah, Mikey Day was a little weak in this one. I thought.
That was tough. But yeah, it's whatever. It doesn't. Again, we're no longer in the 10-1 territory. That's not a 10-1 sketch.
No.
And so our podcast doesn't matter anymore.
It was a little odd to not see Sarah Sherman do too much this episode. I would have loved to have seen
She's
her
not
do something.
really doesn't speak Puerto Rican to me.
Like personally?
Right. Like when I see her, I'm not thinking, oh yeah, she can do a lot of Puerto Rican comedy.
I don't know. It just felt like the 10-1 for me is a good Sarah Sherman.
Yeah,
sketch,
it's in her wheelhouse for sure.
I would have loved to see more for her.
They're all going to be winners.
Let's compare the first 2 episodes a little bit. Pete Davidson versus Bad Bunny. Which episode did you like better?
I think I like this one better.
Yeah,
I did
like
too.
this one
I
better
for sure
too, yeah.
did. Yeah.
Not by a huge margin.
No, yeah.
But no, I did though. Clearly, I like this one better. I didn't think it was a great episode, but it was good enough.
I mean, I'm sitting here, Monday morning quarterbacking this thing and thinking through all the sketches as we're talking about them.
There's some funny ones there.
Way more good than bad.
Yeah.
Right. And honestly, I think that maybe the weakest sketch was the last one of the night, right?
And
but beyond that, they were all pretty good.
And I was expecting this not to be that great, simply because I even though Bad Bunny has been in a few things like Bullet Train, he had a small role in F9, the Fast Saga. I didn't think that he was going to be skilled at comedy, especially knowing too that he does not speak English very well.
And again, this really does speak, and I'm beating this dead horse here, but it speaks to the fact that they were able to make the show better around him.
I think that when you're talking about something good and you're saying it repeatedly, we have to come up with something better than beating a dead horse, like supporting a champion horse or something.
But I think that like
I don't like to beat any horse.
I mean it as a way of like, this is me being bad.
Oh no, I know.
I'm saying it again and again and again.
Yeah, but
sorry,
but you're not beating a dead horse. You're trying to bring a horse back to life.
Resurrect it, buddy.
Yeah.
Boy. Okay.
All right, let's talk about our favorite sketch of the night. What sketch did you like the best tonight?
Mine was the Age of Discovery, just barely edging out Please Don't Destroy Shrek with Bad Bunny. I thought the Age of Discovery was just a better sketch, just by a little bit.
Yeah. By un poquito.
Un poquito.
Benny, what'd you think?
What'd you think, Nate?
Yeah, that it was between those two for me. I'm gonna go Age of Discovery because I thought it was a little more innovative.
Yeah.
The Please Don't Destroy guys being absurd is their bread and butter, right? And it was absurd. It was perfect. I loved it, every minute of it. But I thought that the Age of Discovery was creative, and funny, and it was well shot. It was all of those things together, and so it was what sketch comedy should be. And I'm gonna give it to that one.
I still to me it was between Age of Discovery and the Subway one.
Oh, really?
I really liked the Subway. I watched it 3 times because I just kept going back and then only focusing on the background, and over again I was finding new things that I liked about it. Right.
Yeah.
So I love it when they take the time to do nuanced things in the background that are maybe you don't catch the first time, even though it's a live sketch show. But I still got to give it to Age of Discovery because honestly, I have never seen a fully immersive Spanish language sketch and it crushed.
Yeah.
And Fred Armisen can do no wrong. Bad Bunny was perfect. Marcelo Hernandez, by the way, I'll just lead into my segue here. MVP.
Me too.
Oh my God, how could it not be?
Yeah,
he was in everything and he crushed it.
No, number 2 for me, though, a distant 2 was Mikey Day because he did so much.
He tried. He tried so hard.
He did.
So I give him some credit here, but Marcelo Hernandez had to be so excited when Bad Bunny.
But Bad Bunny is my second.
Punky Johnson had a good night too.
She did great.
There was some good stuff. But yeah, Bad Bunny, I was thoroughly impressed by Bad Bunny. You know,
I would. So when we talk about like, should he host again? Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would see a Bad Bunny episode 2 tomorrow.
Also because it gives Marcelo Hernandez even more. He's
so good.
He's so funny. I really love him. I hope he gets to write some more because he's he's really coming.
Big Marcelo Hernandez fan. I really like him. So we did it.
All right. Hey, Brad, what do we got coming up? Actually, I'm very, very, very excited about this next episode. Explain to our listeners who's coming.
Donald Trump. It's coming back to SNL.
And that's why Nate cannot wait.
He is so excited.
Hey,
he's wearing his red power tie.
Prove to me the 2020 election wasn't stolen.
No, Nate Bargatze is hosting Saturday Night Live
so
on October 28th. If you haven't heard of Nate Bargatze, he is a fantastic stand-up comedian. You should watch his specials that he has on Netflix.
Watch everything you can find.
The Tennessee Kid and the Greatest Average American. There's also one called Hello World
all of it
on Amazon Prime. I will recommend, if you do watch his Netflix stuff, maybe go out of your way to watch his half-hour special in the stand-ups, because there's a great bit in there that he does kind of a sequel to in one of his specials.
Nate Bargatze is so talented that he decides, I'm gonna do a half an hour special, and then in my first hour, I will at the end of that hour recap a follow-up to 2 bits that were in my, and it works so perfectly.
Yeah,
it's well worth your time. Start with Netflix, the stand-ups, and watch his episode, and then do Tennessee Kid, and then do the Greatest Average American.
Were you guys a little surprised, by the way, that he got announced as a host?
I am, actually. Was, and I'm very curious and somewhat apprehensively so, because I'm wondering how good he's going to be as far as sketch comedy, because he doesn't seem like someone who has a lot of comedic range. So I'm wondering what they're going to do with him and what that's going to be like.
I don't know. So the crazy part about Nate Bargatze would be his against type would be me. He'd be like screaming and running around because he only is very dry.
Yeah.
He's very dry,
subtle,
very calm,
very calm.
yep.
And so I do want to see if they do go all out and like put him in a dress and make him scream. Right? That is super.
He's not a
good
guy
stuff.
that would remind me, or that I would think has 10 impressions that he could do.
No way.
Right?
No way.
Yeah. Have you ever seen any of his material from before he got like recognized for how he looks now?
No.
How he looks?
Yeah. Like the way he looks now is how you've always seen him. He
makes fun of himself.
He has
now,
has a beard. He looks kind of like a cool guy.
but also like a
Back-
cool dad,
well,
like a cool dad.
Back 20 years ago, though, he was clean shaven and a little bit chubby.
Yeah. If you go back and look at like his Comedy Central Presents from a while back, he looks like a dork.
Yeah.
And I like it was totally
He,
floored me.
he has aged gracefully.
Yeah.
Unlike me.
Money does that.
No, I think it's just.
I think losing weight and growing a beard does that.
The pandemic did it for him because he got in shape over the pandemic.
That's true.
Yeah.
He goes, you could, in that bit, he's like, you can do it one of two ways. I've been doing it for 40 years, so I decided to finally go the other way and get in shape.
But he is such a good observational comic. He's
Yeah.
just
and he's
so funny.
there are a lot of
And
self-deprecating.
he'll probably do 10 minutes of stand up.
Oh, for sure.
In his monologue.
There's so many comics out there that are self-deprecating. He does it in a way that is incredibly approachable, and you don't feel like, oh, well, that's not really you.
Very Midwestern.
Yeah,
Yep,
well, maybe that's why we love him so much.
So Nate Bargatze will be hosting, and he'll be joined by musical guest Foo Fighters.
Again, so excited.
I
One
hope,
of my favorite
I hope
bands.
they get in on some of the fun.
I might actually watch the musical guest this time. I
I definitely will. But Dave Grohl could also act. He
yeah.
could host. Dave Grohl could be host, and I would be very excited.
I wish
Yeah.
he would. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, we'll be back after that episode next weekend. Make sure you tune in, and it'll be the Halloween episode too. So that should bring some extra
So
fun.
yeah, they'll definitely bring back David S. Pumpkins again for no reason.
I don't care.
Maybe Mick Jagger will come back again.
Ugh.
I'd much rather have David S. Pumpkins.
I actually would too, because maybe it means Bobby Moynihan.
Hey, we need your help. If you can, like us, rate us, give us a review. But most importantly, share this podcast with your friends or your family that like Saturday Night Live. We enjoy talking about this show, and we hope you do as well. We'd love to hear your opinions. Go to the10to1.com and share them with us. If you liked a sketch or you want to defend a sketch that maybe we talked about poorly, or you want to say, hey, you guys were wrong about something, let us know. Go to the10to1.com or follow us on Facebook or Twitter or X.
And
or
you know
whatever
what? In the
it's called.
meantime, get yourself a pumpkin with herpes.
Hey, Brady, you're online somewhere, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm not either.
Oh, crap.
Slashfilm.com. Check out my reviews of Saturday Night Live every Sunday morning after new episodes.
At Ken Bonowitz, I have a tweet with 64 likes because Kyle Kinane retweeted it.
You're
Oh,
very
you're so
excited
cute.
about that.
I was so happy. It's my biggest one ever.
And one of them is by Dick Danger or something.
Dick Dangler.
That's what it is.
Get his name correct.
Well, Dick Danger sounds cooler.
All right, everyone. Hey, thanks so much for listening. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Bye-bye.